Welcome, everybody, to our deep dive. This one's going to be all about aesthetics
Yeah.
and not just, like pretty pictures and stuff. We're going to really try to get under the surface of how aesthetics shape our experiences and our emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. And even go a little bit deeper into how it affects society as a whole.
Exactly.
It's a really fascinating area.
It is. So when we say aesthetics, what are we even talking about? Because most people, the first thing they think of is just oh, that's aesthetically pleasing, like visually pleasing.
Right. It's just, oh, that's pretty or
Yeah.
that's nice. Yeah.
But it's more than that, right?
It is. It's really about how we perceive the world through our senses, of how
Okay.
we interpret it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because, you can walk into a room and just kind of feel it. And it's not always about oh, this is decorated really nice or anything, but it's
The vibe, right.
the vibe. Exactly. Yeah, the vibe is huge.
That's my favorite coffee shop. I swear. I get twice as much work done there as I do anywhere else. And
Right.
it's not just the coffee. It's
Yeah.
the whole atmosphere.
The whole atmosphere. Yep. And that's, there's actually a whole field called environmental psychology
Oh, wow.
that studies this very thing.
Really?
The way that our surroundings impact
Huh.
our mood, our behavior,
That's so interesting.
our productivity even. Yeah.
I've never even thought of that, but it makes sense. You walk into I don't know, a fast food place and it's all bright colors and
Yeah.
like plastic and stuff. And it's
There's a reason for that.
yeah, you just want to get in and get out, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not a relaxing, stay there all day vibe.
And they're very intentional about those colors too, because those bright reds and yellows,
Ah,
they
yeah.
actually stimulate your appetite. They make you
Oh.
feel more impulsive.
See, I always thought that was just oh, they're just trying to be, eye-catching.
But there's a science behind it.
There's some psychology to it.
Absolutely.
Huh, that's fascinating. So it's they're kind of tricking you into wanting to eat more, basically.
In a way, yeah. I mean, they're playing on your senses, right?
Yeah, that's wild. And then you think about it the opposite. If you go to a hospital or something,
Right.
it's all very calming colors and
Very muted. Yeah.
yeah, very muted and
Calming blues and greens.
yeah, exactly. And it's you don't really want to be in either of those places, but
Yeah.
it's interesting how they use those colors to change your
whole mindset.
yeah, your whole mindset. It's
Yeah.
really interesting.
And even things like natural light have a huge impact.
Oh, yeah.
They've done studies that show that exposure to natural light can help regulate your sleep cycle, your mood,
Really?
even your focus and creativity.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So those offices with the big windows,
Yeah.
there's a reason why they're popular.
I wonder if they really think about that when they're designing these places.
I would hope so. I mean, it seems like a no-brainer
Right.
if it makes people happier and more productive. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, and it kind of makes you think about, our source material also talked about how aesthetics reflect, societal values and,
Oh, absolutely.
trends and stuff.
Huge.
And that's a whole other, can of worms.
It is.
But it's true.
True.
You think about, different periods of, architecture.
Yeah.
Victorian architecture is so different from, Art Deco, which is
Yeah.
so different from,
Absolutely.
brutalism and all these other,
Right.
types of architecture.
Each one reflects the values
Yeah.
and the trends of that time period.
Yeah. And, what they valued,
Absolutely.
Victorian architecture is all
Ornate.
ornate and,
Long-tailed.
yeah, showing off their wealth and their status and all this. And then Art Deco is, much more, streamlined and,
Modern, yeah.
forward-thinking.
And it's fascinating how it's a visual representation.
It is. It's like a visual timeline almost.
Yeah, of history in a way.
Yeah, you can almost chart the progression of society just by looking at the buildings.
That's so cool. And it's not just buildings either. You see it in fashion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
What's trendy now versus
Right.
50 years ago, 100 years ago. It's crazy.
Fashion is such a powerful form of self-expression too.
Oh, yeah.
And it changes so rapidly.
It does. What's really interesting to me is how social media is kind of influencing that even more now.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's trends come and go so fast now.
It's instantaneous almost.
Something can go viral overnight and then
Yeah, and then everybody's wearing it or everybody's,
exactly.
decorating their house that way. It's wild.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah.
It really is. It's our collective sense of style is evolving in real time.
Right in front of our eyes. Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
But it's also kind of whoa, it's a lot. you know?
It is a lot to keep up with, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting how, like, on a more individual level, aesthetics can be a form of self-expression.
Totally.
Like the way I dress, the way I decorate my house.
It's like creating your own personal brand almost.
Right.
It's you're communicating something about yourself to the world without even having to say anything.
Exactly. Like I'm wearing my favorite band T-shirt today, and
Nice.
it's a little vintage, a little faded, but like
Cute.
it's so me.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I'll see somebody else wearing like a similar band T-shirt or like
Uh-huh.
something that's like kind of my aesthetic, and I'm like, oh hey, like I feel like
There's a connection there.
there's a connection. Yeah.
Even if you've never met them before,
Right.
you see a little bit of yourself in them.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
It is.
So I mean, I guess the takeaway here is that like aesthetics really are a powerful force
They are.
in our lives and in the world. And it's not just about like, who that's
So much deeper than that.
yeah.
It really is.
It influences how we feel,
How we behave.
how we behave.
Yeah.
It reflects our values.
Yeah. It connects us to others.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
When
That's
you
right.
really start to like think about it and like look for it.
Yeah.
You see it everywhere.
You do. It's everywhere.
So, I mean, as we wrap this up,
Yeah.
what's like a final thought that people can kind of take away from this?
I would say just be more mindful, as you go through your day, pay attention to the aesthetics around you.
Okay.
And don't just see them, but like think about what they mean.
Oh, okay.
What are they communicating to you?
Interesting.
Whether it's the design of a website
Right.
or the way a store is laid out,
Yeah.
or even just, the way someone's chosen to style their hair.
I like that.
Think about what that says about them, about our culture.
That's a really good point to end on.
You might be surprised at what you discover.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a good place to leave it.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. It's been really eye-opening.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we'll see you all next time.